Tracking down a pedo, how ex-users got to work to seek justice for an innocent boy, and is Arizona lost to election cheating forever? Wendy Rogers is joining us for an update. And let's not forget about the trusted medical experts prepping us for the next pandemic. Hear what you need to know, but with solutions and hope. This is Get Free with Christy Lee. An incredibly disturbing video of a grown man appearing to lick the side of a child's face goes viral on X, sparking internet sleuths to track the creep down. We have the outrageous updates coming up. But first, want to hit some headlines. President Trump's search for a 2024 running mate is heating up. Now that Kristi Noem is effectively no longer an option after Puppygate, that's where it was discovered that in her book, she talked about the killing of a 14-month-old puppy after a bite. It raised huge backlash. Well, many are suspecting now that she's out because of that. Trump might be expanding his search to perhaps an unexpected old friend. It's interesting. Ron DeSantis. Yes, Trump just confirmed on Truth Social that he met with the Florida governor in an effort to unify MAGA. He stated, quote, "I'm very happy to have the full and enthusiastic support of Governor Ron DeSantis of Florida. We had a great meeting yesterday, arranged by mutual friend Steve Witkoff at his beautiful Shell Bay Club in Hollywood, Florida. The conversation mostly concerned how we would work closely together to make America great again. Also discussed was the future of Florida, which is fantastic. I greatly appreciate Ron's support in taking back our country from the worst president in the history of the United States. November 5th is a big day." Now, while we don't know for sure whether Trump is considering DeSantis as a running mate, the reconciliation is an indication that DeSantis is now likely a contender. In other news, the Satanic Temple is threatening Christians in Oklahoma. The temple plans to deploy its ministers as chaplains in public schools across the state following the House's passage of Senate Bill 36. The bill would allow the presence of volunteer chaplains within educational institutes, and it could be passed as soon as November 1st. Of course, this bill is a major win for Christians, which is why Satan is attempting to interfere, but God will not be mocked. You know what I say? I say, go ahead and let the Satanists, level the playing field, because it's never leveled. God already wins. He's already the conqueror. So I don't think it's a big deal. Let them go head to head. We know who wins in the end. Well, a new study from the Czech Republic confirms what many of us already knew from basic observation and blocking out the WHO lies. COVID vaccines have around zero efficacy against death. As it turns out, the data proving the vaccine's alleged efficacy was seemingly manipulated for the public's consumption. The graph scientists cited showed COVID mortality of those who completed the 2-dose protocol was substantially lower than that of the unvaccinated. However, what the public didn't see were the graphs for non-COVID deaths. The vaccinated also fared better on non-COVID mortality. The new Czech study strengthens these observations, as the Daily Skeptic points out. Quote, "A recent study from the Czech Republic has made significant contributions to the scientific literature on COVID vaccines and the healthy vaccine effect. First, the authors observed the phenomenon in an additional country, lending support to its universal nature. Second, they provide clear evidence that those who chose or were coerced to be vaccinated were indeed healthier. Third, they show that the phenomenon is consistent along the sequence of doses, as was evident in UK data for booster doses. Those who continued to the next dose were healthier than those who did not. Lastly, they demonstrate that the observed pattern in their data can be reproduced by simulated data when a vaccine has no effect and only the healthy vaccine is operating." So once again, the conspiracy theorists come out ahead. They're right. Those sketchy jabs were not actually developed to cure you of anything. They were merely the training wheels for what the New World Order has planned for the future if they get their way. And if anything, caused more harm than good. Of course, they're not done with us yet. Hysteria surrounding H5N1, where the bird flu is amping up in the media now that more cases are popping up worldwide, such as in the UK, where a 21-year-old student from Vietnam died of the illness just days after developing a cough. Reports describe the illness as highly pathogenic and seem similar to the descriptions of COVID-19 when it began to spread in 2020. The question is, how far will the WEF and the WHO go with it this time? Will they use the bird flu as an excuse to rig another election with those mail-in votes? I mean, after all, a major presidential election in the US is on the horizon, and well, there's no such thing as coincidences, right? Well, here to discuss is Dr. Mark Sherwood. He is a former Oklahoma State and regional bodybuilding champion, ex-professional baseball player, and a 24-year retired veteran of the Tulsa Police Department, where he logged a decade of courageous service on the department's SWAT team. Now spends his time helping thousands of patients as a naturopathic doctor. So welcome in, Dr. Sherwood. Thanks for being with us.
Hey, Christy, it's good to see you. Thanks for having me.
You bet. As a doctor, they're definitely starting to ramp up bird flu. We're seeing it everywhere as far as concern. And, there's experts that did so well on their predictions and in response to COVID-19 are weighing in and even demanding, make sure you avoid raw milk. Oh, we should get the meat tested. I mean, the hysteria is just beginning. What do you make of all that?
Well, I think hysteria is a vehicle for getting things to move in a way you want to. I mean, we've known that for the last couple of years, haven't we? Fear is used as a tool. This whole pandemic was driven by fear through the media-controlled fear-mongering propaganda that they spewed out. Now, having said that, this idea of the H5N1 is not significant at this point. People need to just take a chill pill on this one, because ultimately, even with the headline that came out, student dies after having developed a cough. The headline says what they want you to hear. If you look down into that, you may find something completely different, such as student developed symptoms, went to the hospital with a cough, and he died during the encounter, but it didn't say he died of H5N1. It said he perhaps died with it. So were there other confounding factors that contributed to this young man's demise? And so, a lot of times we fall into these traps of headlines. When somebody gets sick, we want to immediately put it right there. But we can't forget, Christy, to talk about the foundation of health in our world, and especially in our country, which is terrible. I mean, we have no resiliency at all. And so we become this nation that has a landscape, or this terrain, if you will, of our physical bodies that's not able to fight back anything. And kind of as you alluded to earlier, our bodies are not allowed to do what God wants them or created them to do when we willingly choose to not give them what they need.
Yeah, and I mean, we're also in a society where they used to accuse us of, like, you're killing your grandmother and all of this, but they ignore those that are at most risk of disease and getting sick, and in fact to celebrate it. I was just watching a video that was going viral, if you will, of some overweight women that are part of some park traveling club, and they were just giving Southwest Airlines praises for, how easy it is for them to book 2 seats for themselves and get reimbursed. And it was just all celebratory. But we never talk about that. We never talk about how much more predisposed those that were overweight were to COVID-19 and will be to other diseases. And so why do you think that is, that's just so looked over?
Well, I think people need to understand the way we're made. First of all, our genes that we all have stretch back without only a 2% change, Christy, in 10,000 years. That's it. So we have these old genes that have micro-evolved, as I call it, to maybe a change of climate or a change of food supplies, etc. And really, when you look at this from that standpoint, you realize that what has changed drastically over the last 200 years is our environment. So now we have this disconnect, or this area, I call it, of incongruency between the existence of our genes now having to respond to the environment. And what's happened is, to use kind of a firearm analogy, guns don't kill people. People pull the trigger and kill people. Genes don't kill people, but the environment pulls the trigger and kills people. So now we have these genes that are living right now in this very highly obesogenic and carcinogenic environment. And we're not addressing the problem correctly. We instead blame the genes, blame the doctors, blame somebody else, instead of looking at ourselves in the mirror and perhaps getting connected with people that really understand this phenomenon, that's actually a natural thing, and how to get the body operating in a way to be able to not just survive in this particular out of control environment, but actually thrive. And I believe, and we've seen that possible for over 12,000 people around the world.
Yeah, and I mean, this show is all about, instead of just focusing on the negative and what they want to do to us, because obviously it's clear, it's no secret that they would love to release another actually deadly pandemic on us. What we can do that's providing solutions and hope is take control of our health, and make sure that we're doing the things like getting out and walking at least for 30 minutes and supporting our immunity. And you have made it very easy in your journey and passion to be a doctor that actually helps people to arm them with easy ways to build their immunity, easy ways to keep the weight off. I've been really enjoying your Kingdom Fuel line. The shakes are super easy to whip up, and then you have Kingdom candy fuel, like basically energy bars that are really good and easy to just grab, especially as a busy mom. I'm lucky if I do get to eat, so I need these things to be quick and easy. What other ways do we need to know to make sure that we're armed and ready for whatever they throw at us?
We need to sort of take a page out of a book I read many times called the Bible. And what it means is we are born to be overcomers. In this world, we will have troubles. You're going to have trials. You're going to have things. You're going to have scenarios that come at you, but we have overcome. And I believe that our body's capable of doing that. And just like you said in your opening, no matter what Satan, his minions, or willing followers do, God is never going to be mocked. And so his greatest creation, Christy, is our physical body, which is why we came up with that whole kingdom idea, kingdom line. We've got Kingdom Fuel, Kingdom Candy, and we've got Kingdom cereal called Kingdom Crunch coming up. And I think you really enjoy that, and so will our viewers. But here's the thing. We need to begin to live differently and not live according to these rules here. And if we continue to spend our time trying to change the rules here in this particular environment we have now, I submit we're wasting our time, a lot of emotions, energy, and stress with that. Instead, go back to those kingdom rules that says if you put the right things in your body, it will do what it's supposed to do. If you think about this from that standpoint, perhaps we are strong enough to not just live in this world, but certainly overcome it. And I think that's an encouraging thing to have, and hopefully that gives people a good dose of hope.
I love that you brought that up, Dr. Sherwood, because I think that by design, they want us to feel in chaos. They want us to feel out of control. In many ways, we feel like and are out of control, but we can control what we consume. We can control what we're doing in our own homes. And that was something that I really wanted to do with this show, is remind people that it's not all bad, that you do still have control, that we have somebody that is the sovereign, our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ is sovereign over it all. And I mean, just think of how the wrecking ball that stress has done, right? And the worry, I know it's done a number on me. I've lost hair. I mean, it's not been good, but I'm taking that back by trying to effort to bring those positive news stories and basically make sure I'm in the Word daily. I mean, how much do you think people's health has suffered because of just getting too into the negativity?
I think the most common enemy we have is the enemy and the pandemic of fear, Christy. When you live in fear, you chronically produce a hormone called cortisol. Now, cortisol is not bad if you're running from a bear that's trying to eat you, or you're running trying to catch your dinner, or maybe even catch your kid running around, But the bottom line is, when we live that way, chronically speaking, chronic hypercortisolism, or hypercortisolemic, I call it, we end up weakening all systems of the body because the stress or the threat to us is outside of us. If the threat's outside of us, all of our energy goes outside of us and gets pushed away from inside of us. Energy inside of us is what fights viruses and what repairs tissues and what deals with good digestion. And I know you've heard the statement, When you are stressed, you don't digest, but when you rest, you digest. And not to mention the reduction of our sex hormones, which are reduced intentionally in their production because of
Mm.
chronic stress. And then finally, the last piece to this that people need to understand is that we are two-sided in our brain. We have one side that deals with the emotional side, the more reactionary side, and we have another side that deals with more critical thinking side. If we live in the emotional side all the time, what is wired together chronically fires together chronically. So we forget how to critically think through issues. And so we
Mhm.
live in a very reactionary, weakened, immunological compromised state. And that's what's really driven us to the place we're in right now. And I believe that through shows like yours, we can turn this around by giving people these little sparks of hope that can create fires of encouragement inside of people and get us out of that place we don't need to be.
Yeah, that's my hope and prayer. So good, Dr. Sherwood. And because you love me and our viewers, you've made it simple for them to get some discounts. If they go to sherwood.tv/KL and use KL as a promo code, they can get some good deals on some health giving things that you and your wife have really put your passion into to get into people's hands, right?
Yeah, we really have. We've tried to create pathways of people to live the best life, and our mission statement is leading people down a pathway of true healing, whatever that means for you. And we're not anti-medication. We're good functional medicine trained doctors. We're good at hormones, peptides, and all kinds of cool tests. But one thing we're going to give people is a prescription for life.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Sherwood. I look forward to having you back again.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me, as always.
You bet. Okay, well, back to the news. Is the Grand Canyon State lost forever to election corruption? We'll be discussing that in just a moment. But first, as we talked about with Dr. Sherwood, we got to break up the bad with some good. Came across an oldie that I'd seen before, but it's a goodie, kind of a clip that will warm your heart. Watch this.
Mr. Carrera, you are charged with a school zone violation.
I don't drive that fast, Judge. I'm 96 years old and I drive slowly, and I only drive when I have to. I was going to the blood work for my boy. He's handicapped.
How old is your son?
63.
You were taking your son to the doctor's office?
Yeah, I take him for blood work every 2 weeks because he's got cancer.
You are a good man. You are a good man. You really are what America is all about. Here you are in your 90s, and you're still taking care of your family. That's just a wonderful thing for you. I wish the best for your son, and I wish you good health, and your case is dismissed. Good luck to you, and God bless you.
Thank you.
Now that is how justice should be done, with common sense, right? Oh my gosh, so heartwarming. 96 years old, taking care of his baby boy, 63, right? He said 63, but he said it as if it was his baby boy. And I just love that. That's what it's all about, is family and taking care of each other. That is what we can control. Well, I do need help in having these heartwarming stories that hopefully bring good tears and not anger or anxiety. So please join my editorial board. Send me videos like that. Send me positivity, inspiration, something to make us laugh, because we need that. We need to break this all up with some laughter, inspiration. Send me your favorite verse, whatever. We'll give you a shout out, or you can send this anonymously. This is our dedicated email to this effort, KLGetGoodNews@gmail.com. That's KLGetGoodNews@gmail.com. All right, in economic news, according to a recent study, 1 in 4 Americans fear losing their job this year. Study finds poses the question, what's causing it? Why are all these Americans afraid of losing their job? Of course, there's no mentions of the disastrous Biden economics, inflation, or proposed tax hikes. It cites more automation in business, or unstable business or industry. Well, either way, you need to make sure you have a portion of your savings or retirement set aside in the safety of a time-tested tangible asset. Let's take the principles of the Bible. Let's take principles like not putting all your eggs in one basket and put them to work. Be a good steward of God's blessings. So if you want to do that, Genesis Gold is the only company I trust to task with that stewardship of getting some of that money into a tangible asset. Watch this. Get free with Christy Lee, and that includes getting free from tying up all your money in the banks we can no longer trust.
Greed works.
The market, which can face manipulation, and getting ahead of any central bank digital currency schemes that might be headed our way. In times of uncertainty, the wisdom of diversifying with gold and silver shines brighter than ever. Genesis Gold Group offers a path to invest in these precious metals, echoing the biblical principles of wisdom and preparation. So go to getklgold.com to get your free gold and silver guide and get started. That's getklgold.com. The takedown of the pedophile patrol is on assignment. We'll be hearing the shocking new developments in the case to track down this sicko in just a moment. But first, is Arizona lost? It seems every effort to hold those accountable for stealing the election has been averted. Even the AP admits the new indictments for supposed fake electors are a campaign to deter the GOP from questioning the elections this round. Here to discuss this and much more is Air Force pilot, business entrepreneur, homeschool mom, and Arizona State Senator, conservative America First, pro-Trump Republican, Wendy Rogers. Thank you so much for coming on with me.
Oh, thanks for having me. Boy, you got my whole bio there in one line.
You know, I just thought it was so fun. I wanted to keep going with it. All things to be so proud of. I mean, as a mom myself, you know, who's homeschooled, I just think that that needs to be forefront and celebrated always, as well as everything, all your other achievements. But wanted to talk to you about, of course, the indictments that have been in the news, as well as, you know, election integrity in general. But first, we have a big day tomorrow happening there in Arizona. Can you tell us why there will be so much action there?
Right. We expect thousands of people to show up tomorrow in Phoenix at the Capitol. We're meeting as a legislature only one day a week now. We're a part-time legislature anyway. And right now, all we essentially lack is the budget being concluded, which, of course, starts in the legislature and then has the governor to sign off on it. But we have 2 or 3 critical issues that are still winding their way through, one of which is the abortion issue. Most of you will recall that the Arizona Supreme Court upheld the 1864 territorial ban on abortion. I support that decision, as do most of my Republican senator colleagues. Bear in mind, we only have the 1 vote majority in the 30 member Senate. So we have 16 Republicans and 14 Democrats. So if 1 Republican defects to the Democrats and a vote goes 15-15, then whatever it is does not pass. If 2 Democrats defect over to the Democrats, then of course it becomes a 16-14 decision on whatever that is to pass. And that's what we honestly fear, everyone. Tomorrow in the Arizona Senate. We fear that 2 Republicans will possibly defect over to the Democrats and vote to repeal the 1864 territorial ban. And that's troubling. I am completely pro-life, as are most of my colleagues. And it doesn't matter that it was decided in 1864 or 2024. Life starts at conception, and most of us in the Arizona Senate Republican caucus feel that way and uphold life in that way, and so that's how I will be voting tomorrow. There are a lot of pro-life groups who will be demonstrating tomorrow. I'm sure abortion groups as well. In fact, back 3 years ago, when Roe versus Wade, 4 years ago, I guess, when Roe versus Wade was overturned, the night of June 24th, I remember it very vividly because it's our granddaughter's birthday. There were about 7,000 abortion protesters, and they were against the decision of Roe versus Wade. And they tried to crash into our Arizona Senate glass doors and break into the building. We were evacuated to the tunnel underneath the Capitol, and the state police did yeoman work guarding us and keeping them out. And let me just add a little footnote to that. In Arizona, in the legislature, we carry. Yeah, you come in our Capitol, it's not going to be pretty. We carry in Arizona.
I love that. I love that warning. You know, this has been so strange to see as a longtime journalist, you know, the lockstep of the narrative that they are choosing this issue to be their battle cry, because obviously they're failing on everyday Americans' lives, the economy. So they're choosing to go all in on fear about women and their safety, because God forbid they can't be safe if they can't kill their kids. I mean, it's been such a dishonest argument from the beginning as well, because, you know, I had another advocate for life on, Susan Swift, who's long been an advocate, and she was talking about how every state, even in this position, this law that they're talking about repealing, even with that, if there was something that threatened the life of the mother, then there would be an exception. And that's true of all 50 states. But the way that Gavin Newsom and all these other people frame it, they act like even if a woman was, which it would be so rare that would ever be an issue anyways, but they act like if the life of a mother were threatened, that they wouldn't be able to get an abortion. And that's just not the case. That's my understanding, is as far as I'm concerned, right?
Well, the left is very anti-woman. They want to have, Hobbes just vetoed a bill that would have precluded men, biological men, from going into women's locker rooms. They want to overturn Title IX, which I was the first beneficiary of, rather, when I was a college freshman and got to participate in college varsity sports on track and field. And now this is a war on women. This is an assault on our daughters, on our mothers, on our sisters, on our granddaughters. We have 2 adult children. My husband and I have been married 46 years. And we have 7 darling little grandchildren, 2 of whom are our granddaughters. And, you know, I go to the Capitol every day down here in Phoenix. I represent northern Arizona, Flagstaff, and other parts of rural Arizona. But I go to the Capitol to protect my grandchildren. Who would have thought that I would have to listen on the floor of the Senate to some Democrat tell me that all we need to do is put up a shower curtain? Excuse me? You're going to let men in women's locker rooms and think that I'm okay with just putting up a shower curtain? You're going to rob women of their chance to do sports in a safe manner? This is so backward. This is all part of the globalist, elitist takedown attempt of our Western civilization. And I know before we cut on the show, you wanted to ask me about the installed Attorney General Christine Mays, who won by 200 votes against Abe Hamadeh, which was a sham. We know that Abe really won that race. There are still 9,000 ballots that have never been counted that he is trying to get a court rehearing on being able to count. One of those votes was my husband's. He's still frosted about his vote not being able to have been counted. He's a 20-year military veteran, as am I. And so what you have here is this dying gasp of an illegitimately installed trifecta of officials at the top here in Arizona. A governor, a secretary of state, and an attorney general. And you have them completely assaulting the rule of law, and with this whole indicting of several of my colleagues who are among these electors who dared to question a questionable election. The whole question on that is, why is that being brought up now rather than years ago or months ago. It's all timed, everyone. This Supreme Court decision on the 1864 territorial ban, that's very auspicious, suspicious timing. And then the indictment, timed. All of this is timed because they know that we are winning the war on values. They know that all socioeconomic strata are seeing the light, seeing this invasion at our border. And I just came an hour ago back from a legal citizenship ceremony where a legal citizen now and her husband, also a legal citizen, went through it the right way, who I know up in Flagstaff. And they said, Senator, would you come to our ceremony? It was the most heartwarming thing. There were 50 people in there to become U.S. citizens who did it the right way from 30 different countries. That's what our system is designed to do. But you have a flagrant abuse of this, of a globalist cabal trying to take down our country.
And that's just it, Wendy, is when we have to sit back and observe so much subversion of the law, so much subversion from just justice and fairness and following things, and there not being any accountability. Obviously, it gets discouraging, but then like the indictments on top of everything, that's just on top of things like not even being able to get those 9,000 ballots counted. I mean, that's why I can't help myself but say, is Arizona just lost forever? What hope do you have, or can you share with us about what we can hope to see moving forward? Because we certainly haven't seen anything about following the rules when it comes to signature verification. I still don't understand how or why they can just not count those 9,000 ballots. Like there's just so much that it's hard to understand.
Those 9,000 ballots were provisional ballots, and so they're in my husband's case, they screwed up his voter registration. So when he went to vote, they said, "Oh, Hal, you're not in the system. Fill out a provisional ballot." So he said, "Oh," he looked at me and I said, "Do it, I guess." And so he did and filled it out. And then he kept looking on the website up in Flagstaff, the county that Flagstaff is in up there, to see if it was counted, and it kept not being counted. But back to your overarching question, is there hope? Absolutely. Arizona, as you stated, is virtually ground zero for the nation. And President Trump has echoed this sentiment just recently. In fact, we had our state convention Saturday where we elected national delegates to go to Milwaukee in the middle of July to nominate President Trump. And I'm honored, my husband and I were honored to be selected to be primary national delegates. It's a real once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to nominate a great president who, by the way, endorsed me in March for re-election to the Arizona Senate. In the Arizona Senate, I have been serving as the Senate Elections Committee chair. So to answer your question, yes, I actually got a bill passed that Hobbs signed that made several corrections which give us a lot of hope. One of the corrections in this so-called timeline bill to assure that time deadlines are met, the counties came to us and said, there's an anomaly with the 2024 calendar, Arizona legislature. Can you work with us to take care of these concerns? And we did. And Hobbs basically had to sign it in large part because it ensures that overseas military voters can get their ballots in and counted on time. I was one of those overseas military voters for 8 years, my husband and I. So that was near and dear to me. Number two, when you talked about signature verification, also my bill that she signed codified signature verification guidelines from the election procedures manual and put it into statute, which gives it a lot more teeth and heft and adherence. So that's good. And these are very specific guidelines on how to compare a signature, say, for example, on a voter's envelope, his affidavit is the envelope, vis-a-vis exemplars in his voter record. So that's good. And there were other changes made as well. For example, you can't, if you're counting votes as they come in day by day, because of course we vote over the span of like 30 days versus just one day. And there was this fear out in the grassroots that all these votes are being counted so that they sort of knew how much to cheat by at the end on election day. That kind of ability to count as the votes are coming in is not now allowed anymore. So we did shore up a lot of these gaps. Now you're going to ask me, well, what about the machines? You know, can they still manipulate the machines? I believe they can, and that's what's worrisome. And all of that has been brought before the United States Supreme Court recently, and they said they weren't going to hear it. But I still put those facts and findings into the Arizona Senate record so that it's public information and can be referred to in various lawsuits. And then finally, I would say that I have hope in one big area, which is the party. And you say to me, well, wait, you're a legislator. We're not talking about the Republican Party. Well, they go hand in hand. We have a new Arizona GOP chair, Gina Swoboda, who recently stepped into the breach at the behest of President Trump after the bribery kerfuffle that Kari Lake experienced. And so there was this gap that needed to be filled in a very quick hurry. President Trump called Gina Swoboda, who had worked on his campaign, but moreover is a self-described election nerd in Arizona, who not only knows more than any election law attorney, even though she's not a lawyer, but she also has 2 or 3 hats, one of which is actually working for me for the Arizona Senate on the Elections Committee as a subject matter expert. She's on contract. It's up in May. But that is to say that no one knows more than she. So now that she's at the helm of the party, which is always a food fight. I mean, just, you know, Republican Party politics. Anyway, she does a noble job of herding all these cats, of dealing with the RNC, of keeping cohesion. She ran a meeting Saturday with 1,500 people there masterfully. I've never seen, in 12 years of Wendy being in politics in Arizona, I've never seen a more masterfully executed state convention. And it was an amazing thing because, and I will conclude with this, the mark of a good leader is someone who can communicate how she's thinking, why she's asking the question, and explain it in a way that people understand, because people will take bad news. People will take unexpected news as long as you explain it and accord them respect. And she did that from the podium. It was amazing. And I can say that because, you know, I was a commanding officer in the military. After the military, my husband and I owned a business for 23 years. We hired people, we fired people. I know what good leaders look like, and she is a good leader. So President Trump chose her because she is a demonstrably good leader and subject matter expert. That just in and of itself has given me a lot of hope. Plus, as a corollary to that, we've executed not 1, but 2 actual hand counts. The Maricopa Republican meeting a couple of months ago and the Arizona GOP meeting a couple of months ago, we actually executed a hand count. And then after Saturday's convention, there was a hand count. These hand counts are scalable, they're accurate, they're fully transparent, and this shows that hand counts can and do work. So we're not only hopeful here, but we're actually implementing measures of accountability. And if you want to see a really, really good short film on the hand count that we did in Arizona a few months ago, go to avii.org, Alpha Victor India.org, American Voter Integrity Initiative. It sprang from Conrad Reynolds and Will Huff in Arkansas, And then they came out here and collaborated with Arizona, and now it's the American Voter Integrity Initiative.org. It is a winsome, collaborative effort to show you that the grassroots has the talent, the wherewithal, and the makings of being able to do what's right and get our country back.
Well, that is so encouraging, Wendy. Thank you, because we need that encouragement right now. We're so lucky to have you leading the charge with these efforts and helping to give us hope in the process. But yeah, folks, check out that avii.org and for some more information there. And of course, support Wendy. They can go to your website, wendyrogers.org, right, to support you?
Yes, wendyrogers.org. Wendy, like the hamburgers, Rogers like Mr. Rogers.org. And follow me on X, formerly Twitter, Wendy Rogers AZ. I'm on Truth, Gab, Getter, Facebook, all as Wendy Rogers AZ. It's funny because the public relations folks at the Arizona Senate, they always say, Senator, we just put out a tweet. Will you retweet it? Sure. I'm here to help. I have certain ways that I can help the cause, and that's one of them. I have a huge followership, and people are very good about posting stuff. For example, tomorrow's vote, I am against repeal, as I said, of the territorial ban on abortion. And so my team astutely told me yesterday, hey, Senator, you have a following. You need to put it out there where you stand on this. And I did. And I asked a bunch of influencers. I don't abuse them, just once in a while. And I said, please repost this. And it really lit on fire. But, you know, I picked those battles on purpose and carefully because it's important.
It is. It's so important. Well, thank you so much, Wendy. I'm out of time, but we are going to make sure that we follow up with you. And we're so lucky to have a firecracker like yourself, keeping people accountable and leading the charge. Thank you again.
Thank you. God bless America.
You too. And God bless Wendy. All right. Well, tracking down pedos. Thankful that we can use the internet for that now. But first, the meats. With all this bird flu nonsense, ground beef is being tested. Prices have already soared. If you want to make sure you can keep eating real meat, you got to stock up now. Shelf-stable beef. Lock in the price before it's completely unaffordable. It is a no-brainer. Watch this. Let them eat bugs, they say, or lab-grown meat, or worse. No, we want our real beef. And we need to get free from the rising costs because the prices are skyrocketing. So you need to go to klbeef.com, stock up on all American beef from ranches in Texas, from Prepper All Naturals. We don't want the mystery meat. This meat is no mRNA jabs ever. It's freeze-dried, stored in Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers for maximum shelf life. We're talking 10 plus years without refrigeration. We're not talking jerky. We're talking about something you can just soak in water for 15 minutes, ready to eat. And these are premium cuts: New York strip, tenderloin, sirloin, chuck. Just use promo code KLB15 for 15% off your order. Twitter took action this week when a disturbing, and that's putting it lightly, a video went viral of a man sexually biting a young boy's ear, licking it, whatever is happening there. It's disgusting, really makes your stomach churn either way. Twitter, though, or X as we now call it, the users went to work posting the man's photo and video until he was identified. He then started deleting his weird and disturbing posts on social media. So we've got Stefano Voci. There he is, and that is who we believe the alleged TV pedophile that you saw doing the weird licking is. It appears that he started deleting the evidence from his profile. I mean, look at all of the stuff that has been uncovered. For reference, this says VM14 Annie, and it says, for reference, a VM14 Annie is Italian for at 14 years, which we all know what he meant by that. Diana and her husband, Matthew, led the charge on hunting down and exposing this sicko. An official police investigation has now begun, and Diana is joining us now to update us on the investigation. So thank you so much, Diana, for calling in, for being on here to give us the updates. Man, when you see so much crud, obviously, on the internet, but then you also see it working together for good because, the fact that the internet sleuths were able to come together and track this guy down to hopefully catch him and prevent whatever else disgustingness is coming. I mean, that's a good thing. How did you get involved in tracking this guy down?
Well, as soon as we saw the video went viral, and as soon as we saw that, Matt and I worked together to get this information out, and Twitter came together as a whole into doxing this guy who is doing these horrible things on live television. So you can only imagine what's going on behind closed doors. And as far as we know, we don't know. It seems to be he's related to the boy in some way. But even if he isn't, it's absolutely disgusting. And we just want to focus on getting the child justice and getting him caught so he can't do this. He can't continue to abuse this boy if this is allegedly what's happening, or any other children.
Yeah, it was appalling sometimes to read the depravity, though, of some people on the interwebs. When you were reading some comments, oh, well, what if it's his dad, joking around or whatever? Like, no, in no sane world would a dad, an uncle, a grandpa, whatever, do that. That's just absolutely disgusting. I mean, you can think of like a tickle or I don't know. I mean, but not that. That was clearly sexual, and you could see from when he saw that he was on camera that he almost tried to cover it for it. Is that the impression you got?
Yeah, I did, and I think it also sheds light on the fact that we have this guy allegedly doxxed. This is who we think it is. It looks just like him. We even saw photos of the boy with his other family members, but what it shows is, even when this is on live television and it is going viral and people are speaking out and they want the police to investigate this, I haven't seen anything in the mainstream media as far as how the case is going or anything that makes us believe the boy is being protected. So I think it sheds light on this is why a lot of victims of abuse don't want to come out about it, because what if they don't get saved?
It really does make, as a parent, especially make your stomach turn to watch what's happening there. It's clearly not normal. It's clearly disgusting. No. But I got to ask you, when it comes to calling this alleged guy out, does it worry you at all that there could be legal ramifications for doxing or for doxing this particular person in case he doesn't end up being the person that is in the video? Any concerns there?
Yeah, I would say that's why we have to be careful with words, and we always say alleged, and to let the police handle this. People shouldn't be taking matters into their own hands or going to try to find this guy or his family or doing anything like that. We're just here to get the information to the authorities, because they're the ones that should be in full control and handling this. And if they don't handle it, that's when we really are questioning the narratives and what's going on here.
What confidence do you have that the authorities are actually looking into this? Because I saw a few people reporting that the authorities have taken over this as an investigation, but I haven't really seen any proof. Is there a police report? Is there anything that anyone's been able to bring forward to help us know that the authorities are actually looking into this?
We have been looking for that. Nothing. We have seen nothing so far, but we hope we will see something in days to come.
What do you anticipate will come of this?
Usually things like this don't get taken care of at all. But we're hoping that with all the users on X and us pushing this information out there, that it does make authorities want to act and investigate into situations like this, because we really want the narrative to change, because I feel the mainstream media is trying to normalize things like this, and that's why we don't see a lot of these predators getting caught.
Yeah, I mean, I really haven't seen any mainstream news. I mean, and if nothing else, if something goes viral, they usually at least mention it. Why do you suppose that they're covering for this sicko?
Right, because they could also be being paid off. I mean, there's a lot of things that could be going on behind the scenes that we don't know about. But it brings to question what is actually going on here. And stuff like this is not okay. And victims should feel safe to be able to come out to authorities so that authorities can act properly within the means of the law.
Now, again, it's hard to watch that video because it's so disturbing, and you got to wonder if this boy is safe, and like you said, if that's what's on camera, what could be happening beyond. And so, the only, I think, consolation we can take in this is the fact that there were so many people that came together to try and find this guy so that he can be held accountable, and the fact that as much as they try to normalize this behavior, this adult little boy. Supposed love or sexuality, it's not normal, and it's clearly not normal because a video like that can go viral and people are demanding answers, right?
Right. It's absolutely not normal. I mean, we've been investigating other things with the elites and celebrities and with the whole P. Diddy case, with the alleged pedophilia and sex trafficking rings that are going on. All of this seems connected. With the humiliation rituals, like this one that we just saw was absolutely disgusting. And it's a way to it's a form of abuse to gain power over your victim by, look what I can do on camera, and there's nothing you can do about it. Not even the police can help you or anybody that sees this. So I do really hope that this justice gets brought to this situation and we find out what's really going on.
Yeah, I sure hope so. Well, Diana, thank you so much for you and your husband's work and trying to hold this person accountable. Stay on it, please. And folks, if you want to help out, you can go and follow each of them. Matt Wallace, and then Diana Wallace is at Diana Wallace 888. And make sure you follow them and encourage them to continue to stay on this. Well, thank you so much, Diana.
Thanks for having me on.
You bet. Boy, I do hope that they find that sicko and that we can actually see some accountability, and hopefully it will deter some other folks that think that they can get away with this kind of stuff and hold that kind of power over people. Well, on a lighter note, I was able to get on a long awaited date with my husband over the weekend. We saw the movie Civil War, which I've been asking some folks about. Is it pre-predictive programming? I don't want to ruin the movie for you. I thought it was kind of depressing overall. I'm not going to give you any giveaways, but we went ahead and saw it. And one thing, of course, that I had to say, of course, is there's a part where somebody's running with a red, with an American flag. And of course, that person was a terrorist. Of course, it's always the person with the American flag, right? No, never. In reality, never. But anyways, another point of this story is that both my husband and I were wearing MyPillow slippers, because you can do that kind of thing when you're married. You can go out on a date in slippers. and it's fine. So we wore our MyPillow slippers. Again, if you want to check out all the fabulous products of MyPillow, it's not just pillows. You've got the pillows, of course, and they're fantastic, but check that out. You got sandals, slides, and slippers. Get yourself a matching pair like me and my husband. You can get them on a $25 deal right now. We have a $10 extravaganza going on. If you pick 3 items out at $25 each, you can even get your shipping for free. And all you got to do is go to mypillow.com/KL. You can use promo code KL. And let me know if you get those slippers, because I love them. My husband loves them. And get yourself some towel sets and, a pajama set while you're at it. All kinds of great stuff. And you can support election integrity, Mike Lindell, and shows like mine while you do it. All right. Well, here's some scripture for the day that I wanted to share with you. I like to include positivity. So this is a good one from Philippians 4:8. Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good rapport, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. And again, that's from Philippians 4:8. So it is not only mentally well for you to make sure you're thinking on good things and lovely things, but it is biblical. So make sure that even though there's all this information that you need to know, that you're also focusing on these things. And if you would like to dive deeper into God's word, I do have a daily devotional show on my Locals channel. You can just go to ChristyLeeTV.locals.com. That's ChristyLeeTV.locals.com. Every day I have a quick little daily devotional show that you can participate in. Come as you are. I'm usually in my pajamas, no makeup on, and we're just diving in the word together and fellowship together. So please join me in that effort there on my Locals channel. Well, thanks again for watching, and don't forget to spread the word and share with friends. Get free with Christy Lee now on frankspeech.com.